Okay, hello. So, this is the Paul Web Development Club. This is our second workshop where we are going to be talking about networking. So, what are we going to cover? We're going to be covering networking strategies for tech professionals, creating a resume, optimizing your GitHub and LinkedIn profile, and creating a portfolio website. So, before we get started, um, this last, before this last Thursday, so the 10th, there was a Stripe developer meetup that I was at, and it was absolutely amazing. We talked about AI agents. I was able to talk to a couple of senior software engineers at Stripe and got to talk to them and really experience what it's like to work there. More importantly, we talked about like the projects that we're all working on, and it was just very insightful. And I would highly recommend to go. They even record everything, so as you can see, this was the meetup I was at, and they talked about it, and the entire talk is here. So I'd highly recommend to go. And then they're doing a second one on June 12th. It's free to attend, but you have to RSVP, and the link is also here. So it's all free. Highly recommend to go. There's no barrier to entry. So, and then I also want to preface this with saying that networking is purely supplementary, especially in engineering. You're not going to get hired because you know someone, or even if you do get hired because you know someone, would you even want to work there? So like, this is software engineering. Most software engineers get paid six figures, or at least very very close to six figures. Companies are not going to hire you just because you're funny or you can talk your way into there. Um, and I mean, again, if you do, you probably won't get promoted. You won't have actual meaningful work to do, and you're not going to learn anything. So focus purely on projects, your schooling, your experience. Networking is purely supplementary. Building cool stuff will always matter more than handing out your LinkedIn links. Um, and tech, your projects speak louder than your pitch. I know people who have landed software engineering jobs purely off of just school projects that they've put on their GitHub, and that's perfectly normal. And then, all this should feel casual. Like this developer meetup that I was at, I was purely casual. I just went down there, and it was a lot of fun. So, and then just a couple examples to show of people that are like this is these two people I know, Peter and David. So Peter's a software engineer at Jump Trade, and he was a software engineer at the OCC. And if you look at his profile, there's like nothing on here. He has less than 300 connections. It's just a school. That's it. He has no projects on here. And he's very, very smart. And this is just like one of those profiles where like you're looking at it and there's not much on here. And this just proves that like, all of this is supplementary. You don't need to do any of this to land a job. This is just purely supplementary, and it gets better and better. Like your chances of getting hired go higher and higher. And then this is David. You can see he works at Stripe as a software engineer. He's a software engineer at Capital One, a senior actually. And you look at his profile, he has less than 300 followers or connections, and the profile looks very bland. So just keep that in mind. None of this is a full-on requirement. So how do you network with tech professionals? You go where developers hang out, which a lot of the time is just on the internet. So meetups, conferences, Discord, Twitter. Honestly, Twitter is a lot. There's so many developers on here. Um, but there are a lot of conferences in Chicago. You can check out Chicago Tech Events, Meetup, or Eventbrite. The Stripe Meetup is hosted on Meetup. So again, a lot of tech conferences are there. And then ask real questions. If you're DMing someone on LinkedIn, do not just use AI to generate stuff like that. It's just not going to work. I'm not even considered myself a tech professional, and even I receive um, emails and AI generated messages on LinkedIn, and it is very very annoying. Nobody likes that. And in fact, honestly, if I was a recruiter and somebody messaged me an AI generated message to work, I would actively avoid hiring them because that just shows your lack of creative aptitude, like so much so that you can't even talk about yourself or your work without a computer program. So skip the small talk, just talk tech and speak from the heart. As cheesy as that sounds, just talk about what you do. Don't use AI. Um, Staying in touch, this kind of ties into the first one. I mean, if you connect with someone on LinkedIn, that's great. But like connecting with them and then going to conferences, going to meetups, talking with them way more is way more impactful. Networking is supposed to be like you talk to someone over the course of several years, not just a one-off thing. Um, Number four also ties into two. Don't force it. Just be genuine. Um, and then build in public. Let's say you're working on a project and you are looking to push your first MVP. Post it on LinkedIn. Just like whenever you push your first MVP, post it on LinkedIn. Show everyone around you. Doesn't have to be impressive. I know lots of people that post about their projects. I posted my portfolio on LinkedIn and that wasn't impressive. So uh, build iteratively, publish it iteratively. Always show your work. And then resumes is a really big one, especially because there's a lot of controversies with the whole ATS system. Um, Honestly, for your resume, keep it simple. Just keep it one page. Unless you have like 10 years of experience, then just make it 2 pages, like a CV. List real technical projects, include your GitHub links. Quantify your impact. So instead of just saying, oh, I worked on this back end or I worked on the front end, try and quantify it. So I improved the load time by 40%. Sometimes this is impossible. I understand it. Just try. Um, Tailor to the specific role you're applying for. If you're applying for a front end role, don't say like, "Oh, I specialize in back end." Like that's just not going to work. Um, no filler. Cut out all filler words. Do not include a list of your personal soft skills. I've seen a lot of that recently. Do not do that. You're being hired as a software engineer, not customer service at McDonald's. Cut the fluff. Nobody cares if you put down that you're a team player or you're hardworking. Those are already given. If you're applying for a software engineer, you being hardworking is already implied. I've even seen people put down critical thinking, which I think is just crazy. Just do not include personal or soft skills. Nobody cares. And then six ties into five. Tech stack is more important than soft skills. Show what tools you know and how you use them. So a lot of the times companies don't actually hire you for your specific programming skills. It's for your actual like tech skills. So like just because you know Java super well may not be the reason why you get hired, but if you show a company that you're willing to learn, your tech stack doesn't really matter that much because you could just learn whatever's needed. Um, and then here's a YouTube video of how to make a developer resume. This was posted by Anthony Sestilli, who is a former senior front-end engineer at Stripe, and he was a software engineer at Intuit. Um, very good video. It's very long. It's 19 minutes. And then I have an example of mine, but in this video by Anthony, he includes
Today,
a
I spent the
lot.
first 2 hours of my day.
He includes a lot of examples of other people's resumes where he talks over a bunch and he shows like what's wrong with them or well it's what makes them good. So all the examples you really need to look for what's a good resume is in here. Highly recommend looking at this. Um, and then if you're ever looking at the presentation, you want to see what mine is. I'm not going to go over it here, but there is an example of mine. Okay. And then building an impressive GitHub profile. I say impressive. Your GitHub profile does not need to be impressive, but it just needs to be basic, good enough. Pin your best repos. This is very simple. If you've got 4 projects you really want to show, there's one button that you can click that just allows you to pin the repo on your main profile. Um, a good README matters. Okay, for if a non-technical recruiter looks at one of your projects and they just don't know what any of this means, they need a good README. They need to understand. Okay, what tools did they use? What's the process? How do I get this to run and stuff like that? And most people do not know. You'd be surprised how many people do not know how to clone a repo and then start running it on their local machine. Um, this is also pretty. I'd say this is kind of half and half. This is very situational, but avoid half-baked work. If you're working on something, I would recommend just make it a private repo and put it on there, and then once it's finished, you can make it public. This isn't always true. If you're working on a front end site where you're like cloning somebody else's work, or let's say you're making a portfolio, making it half baked is fine, but this isn't the case for everything. Um, and then link from your resume or portfolio. Let's say you have this kind of ties into number one. So let's say you have 2 or 4 projects you really want to highlight and they're really solid. They can be pinned on your repo, or they can be pinned on your profile, yes. But on your resume and portfolio, you should also link the projects to there. Um, this is also this. I think is the biggest one. Do not worry about commit activity. Some of the best software engineers don't even have a GitHub account. That's actually something a lot of people might be surprised by, but they know how to use GitHub. They know how to use Git and stuff like that. They just don't have an account. You know why? Because they work. they don't. They work 40 hours a week as a software engineer. Like if you worked as a software engineer for 40 hours a week for 10 years, you might have no GitHub activity in the last decade. But that doesn't mean you don't know anything. That just means you've been working. So some of the best software engineers in the world literally don't even have a GitHub account, let alone any activity. So trust me, do not worry about GitHub activity. You will hear this all the time. I promise you, it does not matter. Just do not worry about it. And then I also included an example of mine in case anyone wants to look at it. I'm not going to go through it here. It's kind of long. So this is how to make a LinkedIn profile. This is also pretty simple. Again, you're being hired as a software engineer, not sales, marketing, or finance. You really don't need anything crazy. Just professional photo and banner. Very simple. It literally just has to be your face. You cannot use AI generated photos. You cannot use stick figures. You cannot use the default silhouette photo. Just your face. Strong headline. It can literally be anything. It could just be that you're an aspiring software engineer. It could be that you're a student at this university. It could be that this is your tech stack. Just has to be something about you. Okay. And then the about section is just your pitch. Keep this very short and simple. Recruiters do not need your entire backstory. So do not include in your about me section that you like listening to music and you like to play video games. Nobody cares. As ruthless as that sounds, it's very true. Recruiters do not care if you like listening to Kendrick Lamar. They want to know, okay, I'm looking to hire the software engineer. Here are their skills. Here's the school that they went to. Here's the graduation date, stuff like that. Very simple. It should be like 2 sentences max. It should not be. Actually, I should not limit it to 2 sentences, but it should be short and it should be professional. List projects like jobs. So, on LinkedIn, you can include projects on your profile. I would talk about this extensively. I would not just like a lot of people just drop a project and they just put down the name and that's it. Nobody knows what this project actually is. You need to explain it. So make sure to add descriptions for every project. Skills and endorsements, this is also supplementary, but I've seen a lot of people do this. Let's say that a recruiter is connected with someone and then that person endorsed your skills. It will actually pop up. Your profile will have a higher SEO ranking than any other profile. So having a lot of people endorse your skills is actually really, really, really good and it's a very hidden technique that not a lot of people know. And so here are a couple of examples of some good profiles. So we're going back to David because this is so simple. Literally like 2 or 3 sentences for the about. His headline is just engineer at Stripe. His photo is just his face. His education, his skills, the courses he's taken, and that's it. That's it. He has not posted anything on LinkedIn, and you don't have to. Keep this very, very simple, okay? Like, no recruiter is gonna click like on a profile that's like a lot of text. No recruiter is gonna click on read more and read through all the paragraphs that you put down. They just care what you do. And then this is Anthony Sestidley. He's a front-end engineer. Very, very simple. Software engineer, content creator. This is what he does, and that's it. And then very good photo. It's just him. Strong headline. His experience, education, projects, and here he talks about his projects. This is what it is, and then he shows you where you can click on it, and you need this for every single one, a sort of description. And then his skills, they're endorsed. This is very, very good. So yeah, keep it very short, keep it simple. I've seen a lot of LinkedIn profiles that are just have way too much stuff. I'm not gonna go over them because I don't want to put anyone down, but just keep it short. Do not add fluff. I promise you, when a recruiter goes to your profile and they see a million things, they're not gonna read through it, and it's just gonna be harder to find the relevant info that they need. So creating a portfolio website, this is very important depending on the role you're in. If you're a backend developer, your portfolio website doesn't really matter, honestly. It just has to be basic. But like, let's say for example, you say that you're a UI UX major and you have a portfolio, it better look good. Like, it has to look really good to really impress the other people that are in your major. If you're a front end developer, it has to be pretty good. It can't be bad. Like, you work on the front end and you're creating a front end site. It has to look good. So this varies depending on your field. So keep it simple. Focus on showcasing your best work, not just a fancy design. Again, if you're a backend developer and you want to showcase your projects, no recruiter is going to be like, oh my god, this backend developer doesn't know how to use the CSS animation. They're not going to care. Um, Less is more. Keep it simple. Include key sections, very simple, just about me, project skills, your contact info, stuff like that. Showcase your projects. This doesn't have to be that detailed, honestly. Just like when a non-technical recruiter sees that you have a project listed, all they really care about is what tools did you use. So like as an example, let's say you put down in your tech stack that you use Java, and then you include 10 projects on your portfolio and none of them use Java, that's going to look very suspicious. Because that's going to tell the recruiter, oh, this guy just lied. He doesn't actually know how to use Java, and it's going to look really, really bad on you. So all the projects it's really pointing to is, can you use this tool? If I have 10 projects and I put down React for all of them, that means I'm pretty good at React. I know I'm comfortable with it. And it allows the recruiter to know that what tools you're comfortable and what tools have you actually built with. So number 5, this is a bit subjective. Personalize the design. Again, this depends on what you're doing. If you're a backend, if you're a backend developer, honestly, just use Bootstrap. Make it very, very simple, cliche, doesn't matter. But like if you're a UI UX major, yes, you do need to personalize the design. You need to add like a soul to it. And then number 6, this is very important. Link your email and LinkedIn. Make it easy for people to contact you. I'm going to heavily stress this. Do not include a contact form. Contact form was very early 2000s, and they are horrible. Biggest reason is you can get spammed. People can literally, there was a one-way button that people could just spam your email over and over and over again. And if you make your own contact form via JavaScript, you do not know how to enforce it. People are going to drop SQL injections, CSS injections into your email box, and they're going to spam you. So do not do that. Just include your email, your LinkedIn, your GitHub, stuff like that. Let the recruiter go out of their way to contact you. Nobody is going to fill out a contact form on your site to contact you. That is so ridiculous. No one's going to do that. So here are a couple of examples of some pretty good portfolios that I like. I think they're very, very simple and good. Some have, like, there's good and bad parts to every portfolio, so just keep that in mind. This one, I do not like the AI profile photo, but it works for them. But what makes this really good is the LinkedIn, GitHub, and resume is all here. This is their about, super simple, literally just like a couple sentences. Get in touch. This is just their email, and then their experience is right here, and this is a super easy to look at. Like, I like the design, very simple to read. This is the experience. This is the tools he used, and then this is the like explanation. And then for projects, he includes here, this is what the project is, and then he links to a specific page. Very, very clean and simple. You can see how small this is. This isn't much, but this is enough to land you a really good job. Another example is going to be quick. Super small, barely any scrolling. And then I guess I'm just going to walk through what you also showed that you should include. So this photo here is probably going to be used to display a photo. You do not need a photo on your LinkedIn or on your profile. I don't think it matters. Your headshot is going to be on your LinkedIn, not your portfolio, but full name, what you do, and where you're based in. You have to include these 3 things. This is like by default, you have to do this. Big reason, you could be the best software engineer in the world, but if you work in India and the company you're applying for doesn't do sponsorships, well, what are they going to do? You know? So you have to include where you're based in, because sponsor visas matter, so you have to include that. Your about is just what you do, very simple. Your connect, GitHub, Twitter, email, Discord. I would not include Discord. It's not professional, but again, this is their portfolio. They can do whatever they want. I'm just here to point out what's good. Resume button's right here. They can just download it. Here's the experience. You can click on it and it shows all the experience. This is very cool. I like this a lot. Projects shows the tech stack, what it does, and you can read more about it, and it takes you to a new page. I really like this. This is pretty cool. And another one. This is probably my favorite one. Super, super simple. I don't like the cat photo, but it's whatever. But this is just the role. I would include where they're based in and what their name is, but include your GitHub, their contact form, and stuff like that. And then this is their tech stack. Very simple to read. This tells you really everything you need to know. This person is not in college yet, so they're only in high school, but this is just very, very simple. And I'm gonna go quickly over mine. Um, yeah, very, very simple. There's a light mode, dark mode, my name, where I'm based, and then what the current time is. You can tell it's 3:26 p.m. GitHub, LinkedIn. This is my blog, and then this is the Ko-fi. This is for like, you can get paid. So like if somebody wants to donate money, they can click on this. And then my resume, docx PDF for reviewing it. This is very good. Not everyone wants to download your resume. Sometimes companies only want their resumes to be in docx, some only in PDF. So that's why I did it. The projects, you can see the tech stack, what it is, what happened, if it's in development, stuff like that. My work experience, these are the tools I used. Company, very simple. My education, literally just one section. And my coursework, this talks about what the coursework I did. And then skills is just my tech stack. This is very, very simple as well. Do not overdo this. This is already a bit of overkill, but you do not need to include this. And then the get in touch is literally just this. Do not include a contact form. And then very simple navigation. And then I also have a Russian translation because I'm also Russian. Okay, so that was it. I kind of blazed through it, but honestly, when it comes to networking, it's very, very simple. A lot of the profiles that I linked, I'm not gonna go through all of them and like meta analyze every single thing. The links are here. I explained why they're good, why they're bad. If you want to click through them, go for it. But I'm not gonna sit there here and analyze every little bit in detail. This stuff is very simple. Just don't overthink it. I promise you, networking is very easy. Creating stuff like this is easy. Just do not overthink it. A lot of people do, and that's what causes them to stress out because they don't think they're doing enough and stuff like that. I promise you, this is easy. When you don't use AI and when you cut out all the fluff, it becomes easy. So that's really it. Just a reminder, June 12th is the Stripe Dev Meetup. It's free. Highly recommend. RSVP link is here. I would highly recommend registering. It's very, very, very cool. And that's it.